Everybody, this is Mr. Wind, and today we're going to be talking about this artist right here. His name is Felix Gonzalez-Torres. He is a Cuban-American artist. He was born in Cuba, and his family immigrated to the United States, so he was raised here, but born in Cuba. Felix Gonzalez-Torres is a very important artist. I would say that he's one of the most important artists of the last 50 years. Felix Gonzalez-Torres is represented by David Zwirner, just like Yayoi Kusama. As I said last week, he's a very important gallerist who has galleries all around the world, and he represents some of the most important artists of the 20th century. So Felix Gonzalez-Torres is a conceptual artist, which means that the idea for the artwork is much more important than the making of the artwork. So in the case of Felix Gonzalez-Torres, it's the artist's mind is more important to him than necessarily the artist's ability to draw or paint or anything of that sort. So Felix Gonzalez-Torres would come up with ideas of art for artworks and then use industrial products or products that are made in factories to create his artwork. So as opposed to most of the history of art where it was the artist's hand or their ability to draw and paint was more important than the idea or just as important as the idea, in Felix Gonzalez-Torres' case, the idea for the artwork is the most important thing. The way the artwork is then created is not quite as important. So when we look at Felix Gonzalez-Torres' work, we can see a lot of industrial products. Like in this one here, there's one of his curtain pieces. This is made from beaded curtains that you can buy right now through most websites, but at the time you could go to most interior design stores and buy beaded curtains. Or this piece right here, which I'll kind of zoom into, which is made out of candy. This is candy that you can buy at most import candy stores because these are made in Italy, and you can just buy them there and do whatever you want with them. So in the case of Felix Gonzalez-Torres' work, he is often using things that you can just buy at a store to make his artwork. A conceptual artist pick kind of a concept and they follow it throughout their career. In the case of Felix Gonzalez-Torres, his concept was love or relationships, the way that we relate to other people and the way that we relate to that person being near us. So in the case of the curtain piece right here, this is a wall, basically, of beads that you have to walk through to get to the other side. And so if you think about like the process of being in a relationship with somebody or being in love with somebody, that it's very safe and easy to stand on this side of the curtain and just kind of look through. But it takes a lot of effort for you to be able to push through that wall, that curtain, and get to the other side. In this piece right here, this is a pile of candies. Let me see if I can find a better picture. This is not so bad. This is a pile of candies that weighs 175 pounds. That happens to be the weight of his partner at the time that he created this piece. So the weight of this pile of candy is exactly the same weight as his partner. His partner is also Italian, and so is this candy. So this is in some ways a portrait of his partner. But as you can see in this photograph, there is somebody taking a piece of candy out of this pile. So when it's in a museum or in a gallery, you can actually walk up and take a piece of candy and walk away with that piece of candy. Now, are you taking a piece of his partner's body in memory? Or are you taking a piece of his partner's body in like disgust or anger or violence? That's kind of where he leaves the audience. Are you taking this because you want to remember Ross in the same way that Felix Gonzalez-Torres wants to remember Ross? Or are you destroying his body by taking pieces of this candy? That's the kind of problem that he wants you to think about. Because Felix Gonzalez-Torres was making art at the same time that AIDS was ravaging his community. He watched his partner Ross die of AIDS, and later Felix Gonzalez-Torres himself died of AIDS. So when you're taking a piece of candy from this pile, are you remembering the life of Ross? Or are you doing what the virus did to his body? Are you destroying the body? That's the kind of stuff that Felix Gonzalez-Torres wants you to think about when you look at his art. For the purpose of today, we are going to be looking at this artwork right here. It's called Untitled Perfect Lovers. It seems like a really simple piece, but it actually comes in, that I have seen, it comes in 3 different formats. One is this one, which is the black and white clocks on a white wall. Another is white clocks on a blue wall. And another one is white clocks on a white wall. So it seems very simple, but he's come up with different ways of showing this to come up with different ideas for the art piece. So in this case, we're looking at the one that was created from 1987 to 1990. It is 2 clocks, black and white clocks on a white wall. It is called Perfect Lovers. That could be to represent him and Ross, or it could just be to represent you and anybody that you love. Right now, you can see that the clocks are at the exact same time. They're both showing 11:07 and 41 seconds. The idea of the piece is that these clocks will stay in unison for as long as they can. But because batteries are not perfect and they degrade at different rates, at some time, these clocks will fall out of sync. So at some point, these clocks will not show the exact same time. And Felix Gonzalez-Torres knew that. So on the one hand, it's perfect lovers, this like perfection of union and things working at the exact same time. But just like with any relationship or any body, they degrade over time and things start to change. And they're still perfect lovers, even if they don't show the exact same time. They're still people who are in love. They've just changed a little bit, and their lives run a little bit differently. And that's okay. So I've asked you guys to analyze this artwork. I want you to notice the elements of art and principles of design that are in there. But I also want you guys to write multiple sentences about what else you see in this. So for example, you could say, I see 2 clocks. I see 2 clocks that show the time of 11:07 and 41 seconds. I see 2 black and white clocks. I see 2 black and white clocks on a white wall. I know that seems very simple, and it is very simple right now because we're just starting analysis. The whole purpose of this is in the future, very near future, next week, you guys are going to need to explain how you think this artwork creates meaning through the way that they use these symbols. Time is a symbol. Clocks are a symbol. 2 clocks touching each other are a symbol. And you're going to start talking about how these symbols affect the meaning of the artwork. So right now, I just want you to notice what you see so that when we go into that deeper thinking, we can really start noticing what's in the artwork and how that creates meaning. So that's it for about analysis. You should be looking for a drawing video, and you'll also be looking for another video from me kind of explaining what's going on in art and what the expectations are now that we're doing some online learning. I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll talk to you later.